To me, that's inspirational, whether it, just listening to Caitlin, her work ethic, it was important to her. And I mean, she's just starting, her round of golf, if her journey. I
was trying to think of who else maybe could play today, especially in women's sports, that would.
What if I told you that one athlete in a single day could shatter the very definition of a superstar? This isn't a hypothetical question. This is exactly what happened when Caitlin Clark, the woman who rewrote basketball history, stepped onto a golf course and did the impossible on a breezy Friday morning, an event no one expected.
Yeah. All roads lead to the Annika Pro-Am. Trust me, all roads, all cameras, all people will be tuned in for the Annika Pro-Am. Why? To see the GOAT, Caitlin Clark, take over the show.
But as a golfing elite rushed to welcome her, a deafening silence came from the very place she called home, the WNBA. Her rivals, Yarrow Wilson and Angel Reese, had nothing to say. So, right now, I want you to think about this. Did Caitlin Clark outgrow her competition so completely that they simply couldn't bear to watch her shine? Let me know your theory in the comments below. It all started at the ISM Classic Pro-Am. Traditionally, this event is a relaxed, celebrity-filled warm-up, a casual exhibition where the stakes are low and the mood is light. But the moment Caitlin Clark's name appeared on the player list, that tradition was obliterated, replaced by a media frenzy the golf world rarely sees outside of a major championship. The news spread like wildfire across social media, turning a niche sporting event into the main event. Hours before sunrise, fans began lining the course, some having driven through the night just for a chance to witness history. The energy was palpable, a mix of curiosity and unwavering belief from her loyal supporters.
Places, every media outlet is covering this, and you don't say anything. That's what we were talking about this whole season. We were correct. The fans that were saying that the WNBA seems to be trying to quiet the noise of Caitlin Clark, not letting her shine.
Tickets sold out in minutes, becoming the hottest commodity in sports, with resale prices skyrocketing to levels typically reserved for the mass final round. The scene that unfolded was unprecedented. For the first time in the tournament's history, the crowd was a sea of Iowa black and gold and Indiana Fever blue jerseys. There were more Caitlin Clark jerseys and traditional golf hats or polo shirts. Vendors were reportedly caught off guard selling out of Clark-related merchandise before the first group even teed off. The atmosphere wasn't just excited. It was electric with the anticipation of witnessing something no one had ever seen before. A crossover moment that transcended sport itself, when the announcer's voice echoed from the University of Iowa, now representing the Indiana Fever. Please welcome Caitlin Clark. You could feel the course hold its breath. It was a collective pause, a recognition that they were not just watching an athlete, but a cultural phenomenon stepping onto an entirely new stage.
Business is booming when Caitlin is involved. Pro-Am tickets are $25, and event organizers saw demand increase 1,200% for the Pro-Am because of Clark, one of the most popular figures in the sports world. 1,200%. Oh, it's because of me too. No, it's not. No, it's not.
This was no longer just a golf tournament. It was a Caitlin Clark show, and every person in attendance knew they were about to see something that would be talked about for years to come. Then came the moment of truth. Her first drive. The air was thick with attention, usually reserved for a sudden death playoff. As she stepped onto the tee box, thousands of fans fell into a hushed silence, a reverence so complete you could hear the gentle wind brushing through the grass and the distant call of the bird. All eyes were glued to the young woman in the golf skate, a basketball star holding a driver. She went through her pre-shot routine with a focus that seemed to block out the entire world. Then, with a swing that was both powerfully athletic and surprisingly precise for a newcomer, she connected. The crisp, explosive crack of the club hitting the ball echoed like a thunderclap across the pristine green, a sound that signaled the arrival of a new force. The ball launched into a perfect, powerful arc, a white missile against a clear blue sky, sailing through the air with a seemingly predetermined purpose and landing cleanly beyond the 270 yards mark, a distance that would be impressive for any seasoned amateur, let alone a rookie in the sport. The crowd erupted in a wave of pure, unadulterated joy and shock. Reporters scrambled for their phones, desperate to be the first to break the news. The
W Just the presence alone of Caitlin Clark, they understand what that could do for their sport. They understand that, let's say 1,000 new eyeballs, 10,000 new eyeballs show up. If only they could get a fraction of those new eyeballs to become fans, they understand that's a win.
Tiger Woods, watching from the sidelines with a small knowing smile, was seen with a look of pure admiration, a silent nod from one GOAT to a potential another. Steph Curry later said it was the best first swing I've ever seen. Praise from a fellow basketball golf hybrid that carried immense weight. Almost instantly, headlines from Golf Digest and ESPN flooded the internet, calling her a natural crossover talent and declaring that she had just changed golf forever. But this immediate and overwhelming praise from the golf world stood in stark contrast of treatment she had received all season in the WNBA, a league that some argued seemed intent on quieting her noise rather than amplifying it. A juxtaposition that was not lost on anyone watching. And that's where the story takes a controversial turn, because as a golf world celebrated creating memes and highlight reels and
Caitlin Clark's name affiliated with the event. They know the pub that is gonna bring and everything that's gonna come with it. So obviously they are gonna do what's best for business. Unlike the WNBA, let's be clear here. It's just so funny, and I said this in a video before.
two very specific voices from the basketball world were conspicuously deafeningly missing. I.O. Wilson and Angel Reed, who had been so vocal and pointed during the WNBA season, offered not a single word of congratulations on any of their social media platforms. This wasn't just a minor oversight. To many, it confirmed a pattern that had been brewing for months. A cold war played out in the press and on the hardwood. Throughout the season, Clark was subjected to a physical gauntlet of hard, flagrant fouls, some of which were later upgraded by the league after review, and was publicly labeled as privileged in a way that seemed to dismiss her hard work and talent. She was often a target of intense personal trash talk, all while some fans and analysts felt the league itself failed to promote her historic, record-shattering rookie season with the enthusiasm deserved, often focusing on collective efforts over her individual draw. The silence after her golf triumph felt like the final damning piece of the puzzle. It was as if her success in another sport, a domain where her pure athleticism was undeniable, was the ultimate proof of a unique transcendent stardom. A stardom that some of her peers in the league itself seemed unwilling to fully embrace or felt threatened by. The fans who had argued all season that there was a deliberate, coordinated effort to humble Caitlin Clark felt they had been vindicated. Their theory is now supported by this telling silence from her most prominent on-court rivals. Meanwhile, the reception Clark received from the golf community could not have been more different, creating a tale of two sports. While she was often treated like an outsider in her own sport, a rookie who needed to be put in her place, she was welcomed as royalty on the green. LPGA superstar Nelly Korda, the #1 player in the world, personally walked up to Clark on the practice range and told her, "You're welcome here. You belong here." A gesture of inclusion that spoke volumes. Another top player, Maria Fassi, told reporters that Caitlin's energy is pure and that she brings a fire we've been missing, highlighting the positive impact she could have beyond just ticket sales. This wasn't just politeness. It was a sharp strategic recognition of her generational star power and its immense potential to grow the game. The golf world, often seen as staid and traditional, understood the business tsunami she could bring. They saw the concrete, undeniable 1-200-cent spike in ticket demand and knew that even a fraction of Clark's millions of fans had become new, dedicated followers of golf, buying merchandise, watching broadcasts, and attending future events. Unlike the W, which some critics say fumbled the bag by not fully capitalizing on her arrival, the PGA and LPGA saw a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and proactively rolled out the red carpet. They saw a rising tide that could lift all boats, and they chose to celebrate it. A business decision that also felt like a genuine embrace of a special athlete. But the true history-making moment, the one that would cement this day in sports lore, was yet to come. The stage was set on hole 7, a challenging, lengthy par that featured a narrow fairway and a well-guarded green. A hole that even seasoned PGA pros sometimes struggled to conquer, often leading to bogeys or worse. The crowd, still buzzing from her earlier drives, once again fell into an anticipatory silence, the pressure mounting with each step she took toward her ball. Clark, displaying a pretty natural calm, lined up her shot, her eyes fixed on a target far in the distance. She took a deep, visible breath, a moment of complete concentration, and swung. The contact was pure. The ball soared, a perfect white against the vast blue sky. Its trajectory flawless and powerful, drawing gas from the audience as it flew. It landed on the front of the green with a gentle, promising thud. And then, as if guided by an invisible hand, it began to roll and roll and roll, tracking directly toward the pin and coming to a heart-toping stop mere inches from the cup. A tap-in birdie that felt more like an eagle. The gas in the crowd turned into a roar of pure disbelief and admiration, a collective release of awe. When she finished a round, the scoreboard told the unbelievable story, 13 under par. Caitlin Clark had not just played well. She had shattered the previous PAM record, posting a number that would have been competitive in the main tournament. The business impact was undeniable and instantly quantifiable. Event organizers later revealed that the demand for prom tickets, usually a low-cost, easy-to-get affair, had exploded by 1,200% solely because of Clark. Tiger Woods, analyzing the shot later, was heard calling it one of the cleanest, most confident swings I've ever seen from a non-pro. The ultimate seal of approval from a man who redefined the game itself. With this historic achievement, the public narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark underwent a permanent and dramatic shift. A seismic change in perception that played out in real time across a digital landscape. Social media didn't just buzz. It exploded into a full-blown cultural moment. Caitlin Clark Golf trended at #1 worldwide on Twitter. But that was just the beginning. Instagram and TikTok were flooded with clips of her swing. The crowd's roar and that near-miraculous putt on hole 7. Memes comparing her to iconic multisport athletes like Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders went viral. While sports analysts on debate shows were forced to pivot from their usual topics to dissect what this all meant for the future of athletics, the conversation was no longer confined to basketball circles or even golf enthusiasts. It captured the attention of a mainstream audience, people who might not know apart from a birdie, but understood the magnitude of a superstar transcending her sport. And in the midst of this global celebration, a specific telling detail was spotlighted by the very fans driving the online frenzy. They noticed that I. Wilson on that very same day had posted an Instagram story, but it was a carefully curated promotion for a brand collaboration featuring no mention of Clark's groundbreaking feat. The contrast could not have been more stark or more damning in the eyes of the public. While one woman was being hailed as a generational talent on a global stage, the other was engaged in routine influence of marketing, a business-as-usual approach that fell profoundly out of step with a historic moment unfolding in the sports world. The comments on Wilson's post and across various social platforms were swiftly flooded with a wave of pointed questions and outright criticism. Why can't you be happy for her? And Caitlin is making history and you're silent were among the most common refrains. But the sentiment went much deeper. Fans began connecting the dots, compiling timelines of past interactions, perceived slights, and the physical on-court treatment Clark had endured all season. This single act of silence was seen as a final confirming data point in a season-long pattern. For the first time, the court of public opinion was decisively, overwhelmingly in Clark's favor. The story was no longer about a talented rookie being initiated into professional ranks through hazing and hardship. It was now about a global phenomenon being validated outside the very arena she was supposed to be confined to. The golf course had become an impartial judge, and its verdict was clear. Caitlin Clark's talent was so immense it couldn't be contained by a single game. The silence from her WNBA rivals, which might have once been interpreted as competitive gamesmanship or simple indifference, was now universally viewed through a different lens. It wasn't seen as a slight against Clark anymore. It was widely interpreted as a telling reflection on them, a sign of pettiness, jealousy, or a stubborn refusal to acknowledge reality that was now obvious to the entire world. This narrative flip was absolute. The underdog story that some had tried to craft against Clark, painting her as overhyped and privileged, had completely evaporated. In its place was a story of singular athletes celebrated by legends from other sports. While those closest to her professionally could only offer silence that spoke volumes about their own stature in comparison, this moment cemented that Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing a different game on the golf course. She was operating on an entirely different level of stardom, one that her detractors in the WNBA simply could not or would not reach. So, what does this all mean? We are witnessing something far greater than a talented athlete having a good day in a different sport. We are watching the birth of a new archetype in the world of athletics. Caitlin Clark is no longer just a basketball player. She has transcended that title to become a cultural force, a movement all her own. She represents a shift in how we perceive greatness, proving it isn't a narrow path, but a vast open field. From the deafening roars of packed college arenas to the sold-out WNBA games, where her very presence rewrote attendance records, and now to the record-breaking hushed reverence of golf greens, she is systematically rewriting the rules of what a female athlete can be, and more importantly, what she is allowed to be. For decades, female athletes were often pressured to specialize, to be grateful for their lane and to stay in it. But with a single swing of a golf club, Clark didn't just hit a ball. She swung open a massive symbolic door for every young girl who was ever told to stay in your lane, to focus on one thing, to not rock the boat. She proved that true generational greatness is inherently disruptive. It cannot be contained by the boundaries of a single sport, cannot be forced into false humility, and will not be silenced by jealousy or institutional hesitation. Her journey is a living, breathing testament to relentless ambition, a case study in how undeniable talent, when combined with fearless work ethic, can shatter ceilings we did not even know were there. Think about the message this sends to the next generation. A young girl can now point to Caitlin Clark and see not just a basketball hero, but a figure who commands respect across the entire sporting world. She sees an athlete celebrated by Tiger Woods and Steph Curry, welcomed by Nelly Korda and talked about on financial networks for a staggering economic impact. This expands a dream itself. It's no longer just about making it to the league. It's about understanding that your potential is limitless, that your identity as a competitor can be fluid and powerful across multiple domains. The Clark effect is now a tangible phenomenon beyond basketball. A 1,200% spike in ticket demand, global trending topics, and golf clubs flying off the shelves as young fans are inspired to emulate her. This isn't just fandom. It's a cultural awakening. The question now hanging over the entire sports world isn't just about what she'll do next on the basketball court. That almost feels like a given. More records, more highlights, more wins. The truly captivating mystery lies elsewhere. Will she, fueled by this shocking success, begin formal training with golf pros in the WNBA offseason? The May prospect sends a thrill through the golf community. Could we see her accept a sponsor's exemption to play in a future LPGA event, drawing a television audience that would shatter all previous records of tour? The speculation doesn't even end there. If she can conquer two sports so decisively, what's to stop her from trying a third? The discipline of a soccer star, the hand-eye coordination of a baseball player. The narrative possibilities are endless. And for the first time, they don't seem like a fantasy. Every brand, every league, every marketer is now looking at her and seeing infinite potential. The WNBA's handling of her rookie season will now be scrutinized under an even harsher light. Was there perceived reluctance to fully lean into her stardom a historic miscalculation? Did they fail to recognize the tide they were sitting on? A tide that other sports are now more than willing to ride. The contrast between her reception in her home league and her royal welcome in golf will be a topic of debate for years. A cautionary tale about whether sports institutions are truly prepared for a superstar of this magnitude. One thing is certain, the world is only just beginning to see what Caitlin Clark is capable of. This golf program was not an ending. It was a revelation. It was a proof of concept. If this record-breaking performance in a brand new sport was just her first swing, then the future she is building is going to be absolutely breathtaking. We are on the verge of a new era where an athlete's influence is not limited to the primary sport, but ripples outwards, lift the entire industries and redefining what is possible. She stands at the crossroads of sports, culture, and business, and every path forward looks revolutionary. Now I want to hear from you. This story is still being written. What do you think she will do next? Do you believe she will seriously pursue golf? Or was this a one-time showcase of her insane athleticism? Do you think the WNBA's handling of her was a massive historic miscalculation that they will now have to urgently correct? Or do you see a future where she becomes a true free agent across multiple sports? The comment section is open, and I read every single one of your thoughts. This is a conversation we're having together. If you want to stay on top of every stunning move Caitlin Clark makes as she continues to rewrite the rules of modern stardom, make sure you're part of this community. Hit that like button. If you believe we're witnessing history in the making, subscribe to the channel for deep dives into the stories that matter and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. The next chapter is coming and you won't want to miss it. Flashes lit up the course like 1,000 paparazzi.